Something shifted in Los Angeles. The Chargers just wrapped their season review meeting, and there's a name that keeps coming up in conversations about roster reconstruction that has my full attention right now. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your most reliable source of breaking updates, deep strategic analysis, and exclusive insights on our Detroit Lions. I'm bringing you inside information that could reshape how we think about fixing our offensive line protection. And trust me when I say that what I'm about to walk you through isn't just speculation. It's a genuine opportunity that's developed as we speak, and it involves a player who could immediately solve one of our most pressing problems heading into next season. Let me set the stage here, because understanding where we are right now is crucial to appreciating why the Lions just finished a season that didn't meet our expectations. We entered 2025 with legitimate Super Bowl aspiration, and we ended up inside the 17th. That's not where we wanted to be, but here's the thing about disappointment in the NFL. It creates opportunity, forces organization creative to think outside the box, to identify solutions that go beyond just drafting a rookie and hoping he develops fast enough to contribute immediately. And Brad Holmes, to his credit, has shown throughout his tenure that he understands how to maximize every avenue available to improve this roster. Our offensive line protection has been inconsistent, and that's putting it diplomatically. Jared Goff took too many hits this season. We saw drives stall because of pressure up the middle. We watched our running game struggle to find consistent lanes in crucial situations. And while some of that can be attributed to injuries and roster turnover, the reality is that we need to upgrade our interior offensive line if we're serious about competing for championships. It's not controversial. It's just honest assessment of where we stand. The question isn't whether we need help on the line. The question is how we get that help and how we get it quickly enough to maximize our current championship window. Here's where things get interesting, and this is where I need you to pay close attention, because the dominoes are starting to fall in a way that creates real opportunity. Detroit. The Los Angeles Chargers are entering an offseason where they need to make significant decisions about their roster structure. Justin Herbert got sacked 54 times this season. That's unacceptable for a franchise quarterback of his caliber, and it's the kind of number that forces organization. The Chargers are going to be evaluating every single player on their offensive line, asking hard questions about value, production, about whether players are living up to their contract and their draft pedigree. And there's one name on that particularly interesting from Alliance. We're talking about a player who was drafted in the first round of 2022 NFL Draft. Guard who's incredibly durable, having missed only 2 games for NFL season. A player with starting experience, playoff experience, with the kind of resume that suggests he knows what it takes to play at this level consistent. But his performance grades have been inconsistent. Pro Football Focus had him rated 57. 4 overall this past, which is below what you'd expect for a first-round investor. His pass blocking grade of 61.5 was better than some of his metrics, but still not elite level. And when you're the Chargers looking at that production combined with his contract, you start asking yourself if there's better value to be found elsewhere, especially if another team sees potential that you haven't been able to fully unlock. This is where the Lions come into the picture, and this is where my optimism starts building. Detroit has a history under Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes identifying players who haven't quite reached their potential in other systems and maximizing them within our culture and our scheme. We've seen it work with multiple acquisitions. We under linemen. We have a coaching specialized in getting the most out of players on that unit. And when you look at a player like this, someone with all the physical tools, all the experience, all the durability, but who hasn't quite put it all together consistently, that's exactly the profile that this organization should be targeting. Zion Johnson. That's the name. The Chargers guard who could be available this offseason if Los Angeles decides to retool their offensive line in a different direction. And before you dismiss this as far-fetched, let me walk you through exactly why this makes sense from every angle. Johnson is 25 years old, entering prime offensive lineman. He was the 42nd overall pick in 2022, taken by a Chargers organization clearly valued his skill set coming out of Boston College. He's started consistently since entering the league. He knows how to prepare like a professional. He's got 4 years of NFL experience, which means he's past the learning curve that rookies face. And most importantly, he's shown specific strength in pass protection that directly address our needs. Let's talk about fit, because this is where it gets really compelling. Johnson's pass blocking grade of 61.5, while not spectacular in the Chargers system, shows functional ability in that area. Compare that to some of our current interior options, and you start seeing how he could immediately upgrade our protection schemes. He's played primarily at left guard, which is a position where we could use reinforcement. He's familiar with with playing in complex offensive systems, having worked in Brandon Staley's scheme and now Jim Harbaugh's approach. That adaptability is valuable. That's not a player who needs everything spoon-fed to him. That's a player who can learn our system and contribute quickly. The financial aspect of this potential move is what makes it truly viable. Johnson is still on his rookie contract, which means cap is managed. The Chargers have already paid the signing bonus, so the remaining salary isn't prohibitive for either team. If Los Angeles decides they want to move on and get something in return rather than letting him walk or paying him market rate on his next deal, they could be motivated to trade him for reasonable compensation. We're not talking about giving up mid or a player's works. That's the kind of trade that Brad Holmes could absolutely pull off. Mortgage. Here's what really excites me about the scenario. Chargers are in a position where they might value draft or roster flexibility more than they value John. They need to figure out how to better protect Herbert, and maybe they've concluded that Johnson isn't the long-term answer at guard for them. That creates opportunity. That creates a situation where Detroit can swoop in, offer fair value, and acquire a proven starter who could thrive in our system. This is exactly the type of savvy roster management that competing organizations execute regularly. Think about what Johnson would bring to our offensive line room. Immediate experience, immediate depth, competition for starting spots that elevates everyone's performance. A player who's been in high-pressure situations, who's protected a franchise quarterback, who knows what's expected at this level. Even if he's not an all-pro caliber player right now, he represents a significant upgrade over having to rely entirely on late-round picks or undrafted free agents to fill critical roles. And in a championship window, those upgrades matter enormously. The difference between adequate protection, poor protection is often the difference between winning close game and losing. The timing of this potential move is also perfect. We're heading into an offseason where the Chargers will be making roster decisions. Trade discussions happen early, before free agency opens, before the draft. If Brad Holmes identifies Johnson's target, if he reaches out to Los Angeles and finds them receptive, this could be one of those under-the-radar moves that doesn't generate huge headlines, but makes a massive difference in our action. Those are often the best moves, the ones that address real needs without costing astronomical draft capital or salary caps. The moves that veteran general managers make when they understand roster construction at a deep level. I also want to address the elephant in the room. Some of you might be thinking that Johnson's grades weren't great, so why would we want him? That's fair. But consider this. System fit matters enormous for offense linemen. Coaching matter, culture. A player who grades out at 57, 4-in-1 system could easily grade out at 70+ in a different system, different coaching, different scheme fit. I've seen it happen countless times across the league, and the Lions have one of the best offensive line coaching staffs in football. We develop players. We maximize talent. Johnson in our system with our coaching could absolutely be a different player than Johnson was in Los Angeles. The alternative is relying entirely on the draft to fix our interior offensive line. And while I have faith in our scouting department, the draft is always a gamble. Rookies take time to develop. They make mistakes. They need seasoning. When you're trying to win championships right now, you can't afford to wait 2 years for a rookie guard to figure it out. You need players who can contribute immediately. Johnson represents that immediate contribution. He's ready to play week 1. He's ready to start week 1 if needed. That's valuable. That's exactly what we should be pursuing given where we are in our competitive window. Here's my final analysis on this entire situation. Zion Johnson to the Lions makes sense from multiple angles. The Chargers might be motivated to move him. His contract is affordable. His experience and durability are exactly what we need. Our coaching staff could maximize his potential in ways Los Angeles has. The trade compensation wouldn't be prohibited. And most importantly, he'd immediately improve our offensive line depth and quality. This is the type of move that doesn't make headlines, but win champion. Brad Holmes should absolutely be exploring this aggressively, and I genuinely believe it's a realistic possibility if both organizations approach it pragmatic. Now I want to hear from you, Lions fan. Do you think Zion Johnson would be a good addition to our offensive line? Would you be comfortable giving up a mid-round pick, acquire him? Do you believe a change of scenery could unlock his potential? What other offensive line targets should we be considering this offseason? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is exactly the kind of strategic discussion our community to have as we head into a crucial offseason. If you found this analysis valuable, if you want to stay updated on every Lions roster move, every trade possibility, every strategic decision that could impact our championship aspirations, subscribe to to Lions News Fan Report right now. Hit that like button, turn on notifications so you never miss a coverage, and share this video with every Lions fan who needs to understand the opportunities available to improve this roster. This is where serious Lions fans get serious analysis. This is where we break down the moves that matter. Until next time, keep believing in this team, and let's trust that Brad Holmes has the vision to make the moves necessary to bring a championship to Detroit. One pride, and I'll see you in the next video.